everyone, welcome to another Land of Little Horses educational video. My name is Gabby and I'm your host today. And today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. So as you can see, I'm not at the farm today. I'm actually at my own house because there is of course a snowstorm happening today. But I still thought we could talk about some pretty valuable concepts. So as you can see, I've got my little dog in the background here. And we're actually going to talk a little bit about dog training. But most importantly, we're going to talk about leadership today. Now, leadership is extremely important in animal training and pretty much just in everyday lifestyles. So we want to make sure that we are communicating with people properly and that we're showing good leadership, especially in the animal world, so the animals know exactly what we're talking about. We can therefore convey our message to them so that they can easily understand what we have to say and then kind of do what we're asking them to do. So I'm going to demonstrate that a little bit here today with my dog Buddy. Now, of course, when many people train their animals, they use treats or a food incentive. So this is what Buddy eats. He has his little treats, and this is what he typically works for. But of course, we don't want to train our animals. We want them to kind of understand what we're doing and then perform the task that we have at hand for them. So I'm going to explain this here with Buddy today by showing you a couple of the things that he's learned over his years. Now, Buddy is an 8-year-old Habashan, so he's a Bichon mix. So he's an older guy, but he learned most of these tricks when he was younger. So typically, we want to start training our dogs to do these things when they're younger, and it's the same with horses. We typically start them at about age 4 or 5. So the first trick that we teach any dog most of the time is sit. So I'm going to show you how that kind of works and how you can teach your dog at home to sit. So today I'm going to show you 3 easy tricks that you can teach your dog. And we can actually even go into 4. So they are just the basics. So sit, lay down, and then shake. And then after you teach them to shake, you can actually teach them to wave as well. So I want to show you how to do this here. So now there are 2 ways to teach dogs to sit. The first one, of course, would be putting the treat kind of back behind their head so that they'll nice and easily sit down. And when we ask them to sit, we want to pull slightly behind their head there so that they sit right down. And of course, he knows it. So now the way I taught Buddy was I would tap his butt down. He would naturally sit, and then I would reward him for it with a good boy and a pat on the head here. So that's kind of how he knows sit. And then from there, you can actually use some hand cues. So typically, I would do a 1 finger, so sit down, and he'll stay seated there. So the next is what Buddy just kind of did. So after you teach your dog to sit, you can then teach them the lay down cue. And the way I did this was I would put a treat in my hand just like this, and then I'd lay it in front of Buddy, and he would lay down to sniff at it, and then I would give it to him because he was a good boy and did the trick that I asked him to do. So that's kind of the lay down, and after you repeat that step a couple of times, they seem to get it pretty well, and then you have the lay down cue. So when I ask Buddy to stand up, so stand up, Buddy, hop. Good boy. And I ask him to lay down with just an empty fist. He'll do that as well. So good boy, Buddy. So as I was saying, you saw me praise Buddy with good boy. That is definitely very valuable when you're training your dog to do any sort of trick. So good boy or good girl, definitely they know what that means. As you can see, Buddy started to wag his tail here because he knows that he did something right. So you want to make sure you use that as well as the treats to kind of keep them motivated to do what you're asking them to do. But you don't want to overfeed them on treats because that could actually make them very sick as well. Now the other trick that I am going to show you here today is paw. So in order for you to do paw, your dog must be in the sitting position. So sit. And then what I would do was I would pick Buddy's leg up here and then shake his hand. And then I would reward him for that with a good boy, good girl. So I would shake his paw and then give him a pet or a treat. And so I would just keep doing that. And then eventually he just started to kind of hand it to me, as you can see here. He's very willing to hand me his paw because he knows that's a good thing. And then after I taught him how to do that, I kind of just took my hand away and started to wave at him. And then he started to wave back at me here. That's new. I haven't seen him do that one before. So as you can tell, I was doing those tricks from a seated position, but typically you want to do it all standing up so that you can have kind of more leverage over the dog no matter what size it is. So of course, when he comes here, I want him to sit. And then when I ask him for his paw, he should give me his paw. But like I was saying, if you remove your hand and you kind of just start to do some motions towards your dog's paw, so kind of like this, Buddy, he must have found something. Buddy, hey, focus. All right. And then I ask him to wave. He kind of starts to pick his paw up and he waves at people. So that was another trick I kind of taught him here. He also knows spin as well. Yep, spin. Good boy. So you can kind of teach them all sorts of things after they started to learn certain tricks. So high five. Good boy. Now, the most important thing is to keep your dog's kind of attention. They have very, very short attention spans, as you probably know. So you want to keep them as focused on you as possible. And if they lose their focus, just make sure you kind of regain it, whether it's kind of touching them here, bringing the treat out, or just kind of yelling their name a little bit. They kind of start to pick that up very quick. So right now, Buddy is very focused and he's ready to learn whatever trick I want to teach him. But those are just the basic 3 tricks here today that I wanted to show you guys. So it makes it very easy for you to teach them all sorts of really cool stuff. You can teach them to stand on their hind legs, to spin, all those really cool things. But you do have to make sure that you're maintaining leadership. So you're the boss and the dog is following your lead. And if you don't have a strong leadership capability, and then your dog definitely will know that and not necessarily want to follow your lead here. But that was just some lessons from Buddy here today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson with Buddy and I. I hope you guys tune in tomorrow. And then from there we can teach you all sorts of really cool stuff. Be safe in all this snow, guys. And if you have any questions for me, make sure to drop them in the comment box below. And I'll try to get to them as I'm kind of moving through my day here today. But Buddy wants to say bye to you guys, so I'll let him do that here. Wave. Good boy.